Welcome to Sabbath School Lesson Key Points. Lesson 5. All to the Glory of God. Memory text. Therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. Imagine a bustling city called Corinth. Temples everywhere. Priests selling meat sacrificed to idols. Festivals honoring false gods. Worship was woven into every part of life. This is where a young church was trying to find their footing. The Apostle Paul wrote them a letter. In chapters 8 through 10 he tackled a pressing issue, idolatry. But Paul wasn't just giving rules. He was calling them to something deeper. A life lived entirely for God's glory. Here's the problem. Meat offered to idols was sold in the public markets. Could a Christian eat it? Two groups emerged. The strong knew the truth. Idols are nothing. There is only one God. They felt free to eat anything. The weak had recently left paganism. They still carried superstitions. Seeing others eat idol meat confused them. Paul could have said, "You're right. Go ahead and eat." But he didn't. Instead, he contrasted knowledge with love. Knowledge without love leads to arrogance and division. True knowledge arises when we love God and are known by Him. Paul quoted Deuteronomy, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." And what follows that? The command to love God with all your heart. For Paul, knowledge is worthless without love. Paul asked, what if your freedom causes a weaker brother to stumble? Even if something is permissible, it must be avoided if it harms another's conscience. The strong are called to practice self-denial out of love. Paul gave a personal example. As an apostle he had rights. The right to financial support. The right to take a wife on his journeys. The right to stop working for a living. But Paul didn't use these rights. He made tents with his own hands. What? To remove any obstacle to the gospel. He wanted the message to be received freely. Paul relinquished his rights for the sake of others. Then Paul took them back in time. To ancient Israel in the wilderness. Israel had incredible privileges. Led by the cloud. Passed through the sea. Ate spiritual food. Drank from the rock, which Paul identifies as Christ. But despite all this, most of them fell. They desired evil things. They committed idolatry. They tested God. They grumbled. Their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. Paul's point is sobering. These things happened as examples for us. If we think we stand, we need to be careful. We can fall. But Paul adds a beautiful promise. God won't allow temptation beyond what we can bear. With every temptation, He provides a way of escape. The question is, do we take it? Paul returns to idolatry with intensity. Christians could eat meat at home. Idols are nothing. The meat is just meat. But they could not participate in pagan temple ceremonies. Why? Because those ceremonies weren't empty rituals. They were worship. But not to the true God. Paul says something startling. Pagans offering sacrifices are offering to demons. Participating means having communion with demons. Paul uses the Lord's Supper imagery. When we drink the cup, we have communion with Christ. In the same way, idol feasts create a dark spiritual connection. You cannot drink both the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot serve two masters. Idolatry provokes the Lord to jealousy. God demands wholehearted loyalty. He doesn't want a divided heart. An idol doesn't have to be a stone statue. It can be anything that usurps God's place in our lives. Paul asks us, what idols do you need to flee from? Finally, Paul brings it all together. The solution to idolatry is love. Love for God. Love for others. Even lawful things may not be helpful if they offend someone's conscience. The guiding principle isn't, what am I allowed to do? But rather, what will build others up and glorify God? The masterful synthesis, do all to the glory of God. This is the antidote to idolatry. Anything that takes glory that belongs to God alone, whether a statue or a selfish desire, is idolatry. Paul didn't seek his own advantage. His life was oriented toward others' salvation. He imitated Christ, and now he calls us to do the same. So here is the challenge. How can you love your neighbor as yourself? What idols, subtle or obvious, do you need to flee? And what would you be willing to give up so that everything you do might be done to the glory of God? Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. Shalom.